Hello there everybody, this is Nuoance, and today I'm sure you're all a little confused as to why I'm posting on a completely different day than usual. Well, this is going to be a shorter video than usual, and I'm just going to focus on a topic that VRChat has made public a mere 4 hours before writing of the script. If you weren't aware, or maybe you just didn't care enough, which is completely fair, VRChat has partnered with a group of investors led by Anthos Capital for a Series D investment of around $80 million. I've never been an expert on investments, but I was curious as to what this would mean for the game for us, and so today we're diving semi-deep and learning together on what all of this mumbo-jumbo will do. As usual, I am no way an expert, and if you know more or understand better, never hesitate to comment down below and explain in more detail what I cannot. So please, for the love of God, don't use my video as law. Don't do this. Meme, don't do that. Let's get started. To start out, we need to understand what is an investment, and what does a Series D investment differ from the other ones. To start, an investment is when an entity or a financial backer gives another company money to further produce whatever their service is. However, we don't want to confuse lenders with investors, because that's the mistake I made when first looking at this video. Using AO Fund as my source, lenders give you money and you repay it with interest. Investors give you money in exchange for ownership or part of your business. Their investments may come with restrictions, that you have to get approval for transactions over a certain dollar amount, for example, or that you have to set up an independent board of directors. This means that to make this happen, VRChat and Anthos Capital had to come up with some sort of legal agreement on not only how much Anthos would give, but also what VRChat would do in return. This doesn't just narrow down to them having power over certain decisions. It could also mean that a cut of the profit will go to Anthos and the other investors involved. Now, you may have seen Anthos mentioned if you did a little bit of research, but after looking into it a little bit more, it isn't just Anthos Capital that VRChat has come to work with. Unfortunately, I couldn't currently find the full list because I'm a big stupid baby, but the ones we do know from the sources I found are Anthos Capital, Makers Fund, and GFR Fund. Next, I want to focus on the Series D thing. What in the heck is that? Well, after doing a bit of digging, I learned that it's a part of a life cycle for a business funding in a way. We're only going to touch on each one lightly, but if you're interested in learning more, I'm leaving links to all of my research down below. The first one is going to be pre-seed funding. To my understanding, this one isn't really included in the stages of funding because no one on the outside is actually funding the business. Pre-seed funding is only held by those who own the business and the family, friends, and loved ones who want to support their idea. There usually isn't a lot of money that goes into this one, but it is pivotal to make sure that the business gets off the ground and starts making waves in their respective community. Next up is seed funding. This is, using their own example, like planting a seed into the dirt. You've chosen what kind of tree to plant, and now you're getting the experts who like a little risk to get the soil and water. This is when the business starts to get an ideal and know who the target audience is. Their budget is a bit more clear, and things are becoming a bit more complex. Apparently, the money you can get from this kind of funding can go anywhere between $10,000 to $6 million, just depending on what the business is expecting and if the investors think it'll be profitable or not. There are quite a few businesses that will also stop receiving funding at this stage and focus rather on being more self-sustaining. We'll go over the ups and downs in investors a bit later though. At this point, the company has gained a following and isn't just an ideal. The business in mind needs to have some kind of long-term plan to continue to raise their profits and popularity and show that they have the detailed plan to their potential investors, even if they're still partially in development. This is when things start to get much more serious and become much more complex. That is where a lot of businesses and investors need to keep in mind when planning to work together. So if you aren't prepared to make your case why your company needs this investment, you'll more than likely not make it through. This is the stage that so many businesses fail to make it to, known as the Series A crunch. Series B funding. Now, we're at the point where our business has become well established and it's time to expand and grow even further. Series B is very similar to Series A to my understanding, and at times they may even use the same investors that were previously for Series A. However, now the company is branching further with the help of their investors, either through new hires, ideas, marketing, or otherwise. With Series B, your main focus is to be able to handle a bigger audience with your business. Series C is when a business is already pretty successful, but they hunger to grow even further, perhaps on an international scale, or by having new products under their brand. This is also the moment that the bigger names start to come in for investments because there's less risk involved. This money can be used in a lot of ways, but one popular method I saw was to buy out another company to expand the brand. Most businesses will also usually stop here, but we've got 2 more funding steps to cover. We're finally at the stage that VRChat sees themselves in now. At the previous stage, most companies have raised all the money they want for their company, so why move forward with Series D? Well, to my understanding, there are 2 core reasons a business would want to. The first one is positive, where the company has found a new way to expand themselves, but they need a little bit more of a push to get there. VRChat is the example to this one, and the reasons for this will be covered in a moment. The negative side, however, is that the company wasn't making the quotas they expected when planning their Series C investments, and are now on a down road. This could help them bail out in a way. Finally, we have Series E funding. This is the last one on the list, and Series E is pretty much the exact same as Series D, but just on a bigger scale. Either the company just needs more money for their ideals to become a reality, or they're in bigger trouble than before. I had a friend look this part over for me since he is much more knowledgeable than I am. Thank you. And he thought it'd be a good idea to also mention company equity. I absolutely had 0 clue what this was, even though it is a term I've heard a few times. I'm going to be honest, this seems pretty complex to cover, so I'm going to be taking the example from Market Business News. Equity is the ownership of any asset after any liabilities associated with the asset are cleared. For example, if you own a car worth $25,000, but you owe $10,000 on that vehicle, the car represents $15,000 equity. It is the value or interest of the most junior class of investors in assets. This doesn't just come in monetary value either, and I did cover that lightly at the start. Things like a member from the investment team being part of the board for the company's decisions is another option that could come out of the investment deals. An example my friend gave me was with Tesla, where Elon Musk was voted off his own board because he made decisions that didn't align with the company and the board of directors, so they voted him off as chairman since he only technically owned 6.5% of his company. That's just part of the risk of allowing investors into your business though, I guess. Whew, that was a lot of stuff to cover, huh? I hope I was able to break it down as simply as possible while also staying accurate. As I stated previously, all the links to my references are in the description if you want to learn more. The final thing we're going to cover before going into the actual details of the future of VRChat is to focus on the downsides of investors. We know what good they can do for the company, but not all that glitters is gold. And I'll be honest, when looking into this, it's pretty much the same glaring reason that's relevant to our game: freedom. With investors, they are in it for the money, not for the passion. And for a game like VRChat that is all about being passionate and making things that you love, this could be a problem down the road. Of course, VRChat isn't going to, in theory, be blindsided by any sudden changes, but if they do agree to something that the majority of the community hates, there isn't much we would be able to do to get it changed. Investors can make a deal with the company to change all sorts of things, down to the smallest detail on how work offices are decorated. This is because they focus on what studies have shown to be the best for the whole business, like if blue is a calming color and what way to set up cubicles that is the most productive. It is less about the individual and more about what'll make the most money. I don't have to show screenshots of the amount of absolute hate VRC Plus got when it first was announced. There were tons of people who felt like this was some sort of cash grab or scam to line their pockets with. And of course that wasn't the main reason, but it's hard to change someone's opinion when they are already digging their heels in. Now that we're all somewhat educated though, let's go over what exactly this announcement said. First, this document covers lines from Graham Gaylor, founder and CEO of VRChat, Brian Amez, managing director at Anthos Capital, and Jay Chi, founding partner at Makers Fund. Gaylor states their excitement for this partnership and focuses that the creativity and vibrancy of VRChat and its players are a critical point in the game's success. Amez is less exciting and more focused on the business side that VRChat is planning to grow even bigger than we ever anticipated, while Chi from Makers Fund seems to give the impression that they are more aware of what makes this game so unique and revolutionary. Right after that, though, is a new segment that's more for newer interested parties, perhaps those who are more into following investments than video games. It is explaining what VRChat is, what we as players do, and how we are standing out from the rest. It's pretty self-explanatory, and I honestly expect more of my VRC viewers to watch this video compared to those who are interested in investments, but just in case, I'll make a quick overview for y'all. VRChat is a social game that gives us, the players, freedom to create and explore. Not every player makes something, but every player does go do something created. Most of the game is made by people like me who aren't professionals and just want to create things for fun. This world is something that I've actually created using assets available to me from 3D modeling sites like Sketchfab or the Unity store. There is a niche for everyone, just from simple game worlds like Murder to hangout spots like Black Cat. And different special groups have found themselves on the game, like TLX, which is an event where content creators for this game go and do a VRC version of a TED Talk, or IDA, a group of dancers who participate in dance battles with each other for fun. We also have bigger events, for example like the virtual market, which I've covered twice now. The point I want to make is that this game is so rich in its own strange culture and history that I recommend just taking a look into it. It isn't just a place where you go and scream at people for views or play horror maps. You meet genuinely interesting individuals like the story of the bounty hunter or people's day-to-day routine in a different country. Some people even grow from just focusing on worlds in this game to creating full-fledged games for others to enjoy, like The Devouring, which is planned to be ported to the Quest 2 on Steam. This article also covers avatars and the extensive lists of ones you can get from the game alone, as well as companies they partnered with like Ready Player Me and Taffy Avatars, which allow you to easily create your own look with their limited assets. The biggest thing I love about this is they took the time to mention that there's other creators who do build avatars for sale for this game, and that buying your own is perfectly viable. It may seem ridiculous to want to buy something on this game, since at the end of the day, it is just a game. But a future video is going to be talking about the importance of having an avatar that does fit you, and how it can drastically improve your mood. It is no mystery for longtime users that sometimes you get into an avatar that just doesn't feel right. Everything is awkward and you feel like you're not set in your skin. It doesn't happen to everybody, and you don't need an avatar to look like you to feel right. An important part of this game is to have an open mindset, and even if you don't understand, you respect. Getting near the end though, they start to cover something I brought up in my speedrunning information on future updates we can expect. One of the most exciting prospects is the avatar dynamics they're planning to create, which will move us all away from dynamic bones and instead use their more optimized setup. This will also give players a chance to touch these dynamics and allow a more immersion interaction between players. This is the first thing mentioned in the article that is planned to be expedited through this investment plan, and honestly, I wouldn't have any other way. Another big change that this investment is probably helping keep afloat is the brand new region settings, where players can now choose what server region they want in their world to be hosted in. This allows a much smoother experience for our friends overseas. Finally, they mentioned the groups option again, which would be similar to clans in a way. Groups have a whole slew of things that come with it, but a quick overview is that we will be allowed to host our own groups with our own members, which people can then join. These groups can either be public or private, so you could potentially only join some groups through invites, as well as the person themselves can decide to keep the groups there in public or private for whatever reason they may have. The next segment did get my interest because it focuses on the UI menu, specifically VRChat's world menu. It also states the awareness that the current world menu is kind of a mess. I'm glad VRChat finally added the Show Community Labs tag because I've been complaining about that for a while now. But it seems like maybe we'll be getting more identifying tags besides the obvious games, Christmas, Halloween, etc. That could be very exciting to look forward to. Next is relating to Udon. Obviously, Udon would be brought up in this because Udon is something made specifically for VRChat. The specific feature talked about in this section is the player persistence, which is the ability to save your progress in a world. Another amazing update that I cannot wait for. The final thing on the page is related to something I've talked about time and time again. I applied to work at VRChat last month, and I just applied again recently to their general application after I lost my job. If you are interested in working with them, they have their applications open. Link in the description for their career page, and good luck to all of you. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that I needed to cover. I really don't know if this will be of use to anyone, but since it was a quick and easy video to throw one out, I wanted to at least do a small cover of it. I recommend that you read the full article yourself if you want to learn the nitty-gritty details, and post your own ideas in the comments below. What is your favorite feature that this investment is going to help produce quicker? For me, it'll still probably be the avatar dynamics, but I am in love with everything mentioned in this article. Just another quick reminder for y'all, I do have a questionnaire open. That video is in the making, but I have not gotten to the actual questionnaire part yet, so if you haven't done it, please do it. I would really appreciate it. It will be down in the description. Thank you. As usual, although, drink your water, eat your broccoli, and be good to others. Have a fantastic day, and see y'all in the next video.